What is up, YouTube? It's Rules for Rebels, and in today's video we're going to be talking about an eBay scammer that was actually arrested and actually had to pay for the bullshit scams they were running. This rarely happens. I think in this situation it was very unique. Both the seller and the buyer were from very small towns. Like if the seller or the buyer were from Chicago or New York or LA or even a larger suburb, the police department probably wouldn't have cared about an eBay scam. I mean, not to say they don't care, but they got murders and stuff going on. They're not going to waste a bunch of resources looking into an eBay scam, which is more of a civil matter. I just recently made a video in which I talked about a guy who had emailed me who was scammed out of over $17,000 worth of jewelry. I don't know exactly what kind of jewelry. I want to say it was Tiffany jewelry. But was going through the process of trying to see what he could do. Could he sue them in their hometown? Could he get the postal fraud division involved, etc.? But here was a story I thought might be refreshing for some of you guys. I know a lot of people are really sick of eBay and all the scams and all the BS on there and stuff like that. So I thought I'd share an email I got about a situation that actually worked out in the seller's favor for once. Due to no help from eBay, but actually just things just worked out with the police department. So, blah, 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 hello. I won't give too much detail since the case is still open, but I'll say it was an I'm kind of skipping the first part, but I'll say it was an electronic item, and the buyer wanted to return it because he claimed he ordered the wrong item. Without hesitation, I approved the return, but after doing so, I started looking into his feedback and noticed he'd had many problems with transactions in the 1.5 years he's been on eBay. Now, this is one of my biggest beefs with eBay. If somebody has a track record, we all know that there's buyers out there who you have tracking showing the item was delivered, and the buyer's like, oh, I don't know, I got home, there was nothing on my front door, I never got the package. Now, sometimes does the post office misdeliver to the wrong address? Does packages get stolen off the porch? Things like that. Yeah, stuff like that happens. Majority of the time, no, whenever I push back against these people, and maybe I'll give some BS thing like, oh, let me check the cameras, and due to the nature of the products I sell, a lot of it's higher dollar items, so it's not like crazy to think that I would have a camera room or something, but let me check and I'm a larger seller too, so I might tell people, let me check the cameras, I'll see if it was packed up and shipped out, or let me check the cameras and I'll let you know on Monday what we'll do. And basically, I don't have cameras in my packing room, but I act like I do. And sometimes when I push back a little bit, the buyers will all of a sudden mysteriously, oh, you know what? It was delivered to my neighbor's house and he just brought it over this afternoon. Or, oh, my son had picked it up off the porch and put it in his bedroom and he didn't tell me that you get some nonsense like that where you basically know that they realize you're not just gonna roll over. And they kind of back down from their claiming they didn't get the item, but let's move on. So, it was an electronic order, the wrong item. So this was my big beef. If somebody has a history, if somebody several times a year is claiming that they're not receiving items that tracking is showing were delivered, or they're not claiming they didn't receive things that the seller actually has a signature showing they delivered, eBay should really step up and tell these people to screw off. In the case of tracking showing delivered and buyers not saying they didn't get items, typically as a seller, if I fight those, I'll wind up winning them. I believe that's where eBay and or PayPal's buyer protection program kicks in, and they will actually cover the loss and I'll get to keep my money. So this is why it's important to understand eBay and PayPal policy and understand when you're in the right and when you should fight back against the case. But anyhow, my main point here is eBay, man, if you guys see a track record of somebody pulling scams all the time, quit siding with them, guys. It's common sense. But so as expected, he returned an identical but non-functional item, which had a different serial number. I posted photos to the return item eBay conversation and kindly asked, without making accusations, to send the correct unit back for a refund. Not much longer after that, eBay processed his full refund and closed the case. Also, as expected, I didn't get anywhere with customer service over the phone. They processed the refund because the USPS tracking showed the box was delivered. So I filed a report with USPS mail fraud and also the IC3 site. I'm not familiar with what that is, but I'll have to Google that later. After that, I called my local small town, he says, police department, and they took a report. I provided detailed photos showing the difference between the items. I used the USPS, IC3, and police report numbers to eBay, hoping they would look into the case. They simply said, keep calling the buyer and see what you can work out. eBay's typical response. A couple weeks later, my local PD followed up to see if I got anywhere with eBay. Nowhere. At that point, he considered this a theft, a loss, or theft. So he forwarded the case information to the local, which just happened to be another small town PD where the buyer lives. A couple days later, a detective called me to say he had received the case, and we talked on the phone a bit to verify some details. I also provided a link to high-resolution photos of the items and a video of me unboxing the return item. He said he'd look into it. So again, in Chicago, forget about this ever getting resolved, but with two small-town police departments, this just wound up working out for him. A couple days later, 2 days later, he emailed me to say that he executed a search warrant at the scammer's home, located my item, and that he will be charging the person with theft. I can get my item back after the case is closed. Oh my god. So I thought I would post this story in case there are others out there wondering what to do. If the buyer were in a big city, he says the same thing that I did. If the buyer were in a big city, I doubt the police would have taken it that far. I was actually quite surprised to be a fly on the wall in his house when this all went down. I've been a seller since 1998, but not as a store, just personal items. I still sell items, but now I attach tamper-proof labels that are numbered. They are clearly shown in the listing, and I have specific instructions on returns. Not that it matters to the big-time scammers, but maybe at least somewhat of a deterrent. He then goes on to say, I guess there's this stuff is still working out, but I guess there's a pre-trial conference in about 2 weeks. According to the online docket, he's not represented by an attorney. It'll likely end up being a pre-trial deferment, which is basically just probably probation or something. So yeah, I guess once this is all done, he'll wind up getting his item back. So this is very rare that something like this would happen, but to a lot of you eBay sellers out there who've been kind of scammed by the same stuff, it's probably somewhat refreshing to know that sometimes the scammers do get what's coming to them in the end. I'd made another video fairly recently about how a guy was scammed out of $17,000 worth of jewelry. I hope he'll email me back and let me know how that situation went down and everything. But be very careful, guys. As you can see, this guy's kind of redid how he does things. Like, will eBay care about his tamper-proof labels and stuff like that? Probably not, but at the very least, it's a deterrent. If I'm a scammer and I'm looking around on eBay for people to scam, there's a lot of stupid sellers. I know I was gonna say that's mean, but no, there is a lot of stupid sellers out there. At least 3 times a day, I read some forum thread about how somebody who shipped the item before receiving payment, and now they're mad at the buyer. And granted, if somebody shipped something before I paid for it, I would still pay them anyway. I would do the right thing. But not everybody out there is like that. But as a seller, I mean, you just got to chalk it up to a lesson learned. You were stupid enough to send something without receiving payment. Take it as a lesson learned and move on. But like I was saying, there's basically people out there who prey on stupid sellers or sellers who don't know that you need to add a signature on items over $250 or $750 or whatever it is nowadays. So the more safeguards you can put in when a scammer sees that this guy does tamper-proof stuff and that he knows how to protect himself, they're going to move on to an easier target. People aren't going to mess with him because he's on top of his business. He knows how to protect himself to some extent. And like I said, even though eBay probably won't care about the tamper-proof labels and everything else, to a scammer, this guy's got his stuff together. He's probably going to fight this. I'll move on to some easier sucker who I can get a free item out of. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends who sell on eBay so that they're aware of these types of scams that go down. As we all know, eBay always sides with buyers. But like I said, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, just below the bottom left, click that subscribe button. You'll be notified of all my upcoming videos. And if you guys have any questions about eBay, Amazon, making money online, or if you've been scammed or have some kind of eBay issue going on, leave a comment in the description box below. I will make a video addressing your question. Thanks again for watching, guys. We got some great content coming out in the next 2 weeks here, so stay tuned, check out the videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one.